Hello and welcome. I am DEJI360 and you're watching DEJI360. Today on the program, we're looking at the national conference. Of course, as you know, the federal government has released the delegate list to that conference, 492 in all. This 492 now will be inaugurated. We understand the conference will be inaugurated on the 17th of March. There's been some changes, of course, in the list of the delegate list, so to speak. The federal government has made some amendments, but then that list is still generating a lot of controversy across the country. Different groups are coming up to complain that their names are not on the group, their names are not on the list, and that there are actually some groups that are complaining that those who have been chosen to go represent them are not actual representatives of their people and that they were not chosen by them. So we're still having controversy with that list. And of course, as we speak now, there's a group that has gone to court challenging the validity of the national conference itself. The group is seeking to stop the national conference from holding. That group is called Lead Up. That's the Legal Defense and Assistance Project. We're going to have someone from that group come here to explain why exactly it is going to court and what it is seeking to do. But joining me on the program right now is the Secretary General of the Lower Niger Congress, who is also a lawyer, Mr. Tony Nadi. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you, Deji.
The last time you were here, we discussed this conference. Of course, you told us why the conference is so important and why, you know, Nigerians should support it. Has your position changed?
Not at all. It's even reinforced further by the current happenings, where the killings that were before now limited to Maiduguri and the east environs have now spread deep into the Middle Belt. As I speak, the governor of Benue came under fire for 1 whole hour in his convoy, and then 2-3 days after, his village had been sacked with more than 30-40 people dead. They are still counting their losses because some of the people have not been found. And only yesterday we got a report of 80 people or so killed in Katsina because they were bold enough to receive a Jonathan in what looked like a campaign trail to those who are attacking. We're saying that the conference has been long overdue. In 1967, Nigeria broke down, and the leaders went to Abuja to try to revive it, to resuscitate it. They agreed on something. They came back, and Yakubu Gowon and his friends, upturned the agreement. And since that time, Nigeria had not recovered from being in that state of coma.
And that's the need for this conference.
And so the need for the conference have been alive since 1967.
But you also have misgivings about this conference, especially this one that is supposed to begin 17th of March.
Yes, the one that the conference we're asking for is not the one that is being assembled in Abuja right now. And we're going to allow them share their money. We hear they have a 7 billion or 12 billion. They're going to share it, but whatever happened to the one Babangida did, the one Obasanjo did, the one Abacha did, is going to happen to this one, because you cannot build a house from the roof.
That's quite surprising for you to sound like that.
Yes, on 2 grounds, if not more. First, I can say with certainty that what Mr. President expressly set out to do is being sabotaged, is being derailed and driven in the opposite direction.
And the president
the matter of no-go area. Now, this is the written document by which this is the written speech of the president by which he inaugurated the Femi Okoromo Committee. And in the words of the president, is on page 6. I know many people have the documents. He says that the conference is a sincere and fundamental undertaking aimed at realistically examining and genuinely resolving long-standing impediments to our cohesion and harmonious development as a truly united nation. How else can anybody say it? That the reason for calling the meeting is to place on the table. That is what I understand by realistically examining.
And that is your own interpretation.
And genuinely resolving. To realistically examine and genuinely resolve long-standing impediments to our cohesion. And you can see some of these words are highlighted and underlined. So Mr. President is quite clear in saying that he wants everybody to come. We've been here for 100 years plus. He wants everybody to come with all of whatever.
Are you implying that what the president actually meant there was to say, look, discuss everything, there should be no-go areas?
Except there's any new meaning that can be generated. He says it's to the conference is aimed at realistically examining. How else can you realistically examine without bringing to table? And how else can you genuinely resolve without committing the answers to a constitutional framework?
If what the Secretary of the Government to the Federation has come out to say that, you can't discuss the indissolubility or dissolubility of this country, then why has the president not come out to say, look, that's not actually what
you expect the president to go into altercations with every passerby?
No, but you would expect some kind of statement. I don't know
who the Secretary of Government is working for, but on this occasion, on that point of no-go area, he's certainly working against the president. These are the written words of the president's express instruction. It hasn't changed. And if you go even to the introductory part, he says that it was in response to the yearnings of our people that we have decided to take on the responsibility of decisively and genuinely exploring the option of a national conversation. Let me tell you what the president is trying, what the intention of the president is according to this, except the president comes out today to say, oh, I was joking, or I didn't mean it.
Well, it's still subject to
the intention of the president, section 14, and we're going to come to that when we go to the next subject of what the illiterate lawyers in the land are doing all over the place. It's a pity that we have been unsuccessful in educating them in private as to what a constitution means and how it is done, and who has the right to make a constitution. We've tried to tell them that the constitution to the country is like the memo and articles of a company to the company.
You're actually responding now to the suit filed by LEADER.
Yes, because they are
seeking to stop the national conference.
Yes, they are all connected. When you look at what Pius Anyim and his sponsors are saying about no-go area, and what the lawyers led by Tunji Abayomi has gone to court to say about the president not having constitutional power. Which constitution are they talking about? We went to court in 2007 to show the whole world that the constitution of Nigeria is a fraud, because Absalom Abaka made it and lied in the preamble that we the people made it. And we the people have gone to say that we did not make it. The whole world knows we didn't make it. We never met.
But it's still the constitution we're using anyway.
Legal, not legitimate. It's like every other decree that was made there before. So what we're saying is that in order to know whether we are to know what the business of the conference should be, because that's where it boils what it boils down to. The conference is intended to resolve this. How do I even put it? Contradiction.
What's the contradiction in the Constitution?
Yes, there's a contradiction, and that's all the president is seeking to resolve now. If that contradiction is not resolved by consensus, it will resolve itself, but the casualty will be your Nigeria. I can give you guarantee. Now, what do we mean? Section 14(2)(a) of your Constitution says that the Federal Republic of Nigeria,
Constitution anyway.
Well, that's whoever put it. The Federal Republic of Nigeria shall be based on the principles of democracy and social justice. It is hereby accordingly declared that sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom government, through this constitution, derives all its powers and authority.
Of course.
Now,
no doubt.
Now, that is the truism stated. You then come to this falsehood at the preamble that announces that we the people, having firmly and solemnly resolved to live in unity as one indivisible, indissoluble country, do hereby make and give unto ourselves the following constitution. This is a lie known to everybody to be a lie.
Of course, and I'm aware you're in court challenging this.
Now, this conference is intended by the president, going by his words here, to resolve this contradiction between this truism that we the people exclusively reserve the right to make constitutions for ourselves.
So in that case, what do you find wrong with the conference then?
Now, what has happened is that those who have gathered the NGOs and retired the jobless people all over the place, apart from a sprinkling of credible people, the 90% of what I've seen on the list are people who unemployable, and I don't know how else to describe people who will go with all the professorial degrees, all the degrees they hold and the knowledge they claim to have. They have gone to Abuja to try to build the house of Nigeria from the roof. We, more than any group else, had pushed for this meeting to save whatever could be saved, not Nigeria.
What do you think, then what do you think should have been done?
What is wrong with what they are doing now, for which reason it will come to naught, except we go back to what could work, is that a federation is a union of constitutions. Even the list dictionary will tell you what a federation means. Nigeria lost its way from 1966, when the 5 constitutions that defined the union got toppled by soldiers.
So you're saying now various unions
what we need to do if we want to repair the house of Nigeria is to go to restore the constitutions that will federate first and then unionize them. Our recommendation, and we're going to insist on it, is that the conference should be in at least 2 stages. The first stage being where those who will federate will go to make out their constitutions. It may take 6 months or 1 year, whatever. The problem took 150 years to develop. We are living now in an imposed feudal society that has been made legitimate. We are in a master-servant relationship like the South African blacks and whites under the apartheid constitution. That's the complaint. And we're saying we are still willing to discuss, even after being killed in large numbers. 3.5 million people got killed in eastern Nigeria on these same questions in 1967 to 70. So we're saying that the conference should be one in which we first acknowledge that Nigeria was not our making as at 1914. It was the British and their interests. We also have to acknowledge that the constitution we have holding us together now was imposed wholly. No part of it was made by us. And therefore, accept that South Africa did in 1990, that this master-servant constitution can no longer be the basis of society. Of course, we're not anarchists. Therefore, we're prepared to tolerate some transition from where we are now to where we ought to be going. Therefore, the conference should be one in which, having acknowledged this, we go to say those who wish to federate should please go make out their constitutions. The federal government can have a team of rapporteurs to see to it that nobody is left out.
If this conference was to, eventually come up with a new constitution, you would not recognize that constitution as the product of the people.
It cannot be, because what should happen is that those whose lands and peoples are going to be committed into a country must sit down, eyeball to eyeball, and work out how they are going to do it together.
You have representatives of this people?
No. We've been, as Secretary General of Lower Niger Congress, in the last, even before the conference was called, we've been in the field.
Is a group there? Is a group attending the conference?
They know they can't call us into this nonsense. They know they can't. But we are not going to allow what happened the first 3 times to happen again, whereby we just fold our arms and watch a few charlatans go share money and come and tell us some story later. Every day that passes from now gets us closer to where those who are no longer satisfied with this master-servant relationship are going to exercise their right under the United Nations instrument governing the situation. Under this instrument of the UN Declaration on the Rights of Rights of Indigenous Peoples, 2007, each of us, each of the ethnic nationalities whose lands were forcibly merged and called Nigeria in 1914, each of us are entitled to be in our space by ourselves. If we're going to be in any union, it will be according to our consent.
Thank you very much, Barrister Tony Nnadi, for coming on the program. I've been speaking with Barrister Tony Nnadi, who is the Secretary General of the Lower Niger Congress. And of course, you've heard him. He said his group is not in support of what is going to happen in Abuja from the 17th of March. We're going to take a short break now, and when we come back, we'll be speaking to a representative of that group that is seeking to stop the conference from holding through a legal process. Stay with us. Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on DEJI360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions. Welcome back. Now, earlier we told you about a group that has gone to court to stop the convocation or the holding of that national conference that is supposed to begin on Monday, 17th of March. And the name of that group, of course, is Legal Defense and Assistance Project, LEADAP. I'm now being joined on the program by the National Coordinator of LEADAP, Mr. Chino Obiago. Mr. Chino, thank you very much for coming on the program. Why would you want to stop this conference from holding? And why now?
Well, the reason is that we need to clearly define the constitutionalism of Nigerian federalism. We run a federal system where the constitution has defined rules of all organs of government, the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. And these are clearly defined in Section 4, Section 5, Section 6, and also in the second schedule. They are the area of competencies of each of these. And the fundamental issue about every constitutionalism is separation of powers. Now, we think that a national conference being convened by the executive, where there is a legislature, is a total usurpation of the powers of the legislation. If we allow that to continue, then we are returning to unitary days when the government when the executive thinks is a lawmaking organ and the judicial organ. We must send a message that we run a democracy and not a unitary government.
No, but there's something I want to get straight, because from I have read what you have filed in court. Basically, it's like what you've been trying to say is basically to say, for instance, that you know, what the National Conference seeks to do should be done by the National Assembly. Am I correct?
That's exactly what we're saying. That the National Assembly has powers to make laws or to have this discussion and reach resolutions on issues that have been clearly defined by the Constitution in exclusive lists. Issues like public financing, issues like political structure, foreign policy, defense, security, policing, and so on. And Section 4 of the Constitution gives the National Assembly the power to make those kind of discussions. There's nothing in the Constitution, there's nothing in any law that gives the executive power to convene a national conference from the national resources.
Even though some people have argued that, look, well, the government derives its powers from the people, and that sovereignty belongs to the people, and that what this government has done is just to call the people, that, you know, it's just for the people to sit down and probably, as advocates of the National Conference would say, come up with a new constitution for the country.
Oh, well, we are not doing a sovereign national conference. Because if you're doing a sovereign national conference, then you discard the 1999 Constitution, because the people has given the powers in the Constitution. And that's why the preamble of the Constitution says, we, the people of Nigeria.
But what would you say about those who would say the people of Nigeria never for one day sat down together to give themselves the Constitution we're using now? That's the 1999 Constitution as amended.
Oh, well, that has been settled with the doctrine of necessity. Because the doctrine of necessity, which was as far back as 1969, confirmed that once the ministry puts out that document and the people, representatives of the people, accepts it, that they have spoken on behalf of the people. And due to doctrine of necessity, it was accepted that it is the Nigerian people that has given that constitution. And that is why Nigerian people have elected the people in the National Assembly. If the people in the National Assembly have the powers to amend the constitution, in fact, to abrogate it, to the extent that they can change the content, but they cannot take it away, because the Nigerian people have given that constitution, into place. So a government that is set up by a constitution cannot override that constitution.
Now, supposing the National Assembly decides to go ahead now, as we speak, to probably enact a law now, just enact a law validating the constitution of this national conference, that yes, by law we recognize the constitution of this conference. Would that be improper?
Well, they will not do that because they don't have powers to do so. And that has been decided by the Supreme Court in the case of Ghanifa Ami versus Ibrahim Babangida in respect to Puta panel. The National Assembly made a law called Tribunal of Inquiry Law, under which the Puta panel was set up. And the Puta panel was to hear violations of human rights up by the federal government. Now, the matter went to Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the National Assembly cannot make law to set up a body, a conference, to discuss anything that is outside the exclusive legislative list. So, if they're going to set up anything to discuss things in the concurrent list on the residual list, which is within the competence of the states, then they can only do so with respect to federal capital territory. And that is the case of Ghanifa Ami and Ibrahim Babangida. Even before then, the case of Balewa and Dohati, 1963, also says that the federal government, the central body, cannot go beyond the powers given to it, go beyond discussing issues that is outside the exclusive legislative list. So we have a federal constitution. We must respect the federal constitution, that if the National Assembly goes ahead now to enact a law to back up the National Conference, the National Conference can only discuss those issues which the National Assembly can make law. That is the issues in the exclusive legislative list.
So are you then saying...
So the National Conference cannot discuss what is left for the states. They cannot, for instance, discuss local governments.
Let me just ask you this. If the federal government, the executive arm, hasn't got the powers to set up this national conference, the National Assembly hasn't got, the authority to give legal backings to it, then who can set up the national conference? Who can call a national conference of this nature to discuss the problems confronting this country?
Well, first, the National Assembly can make law to call a national conference, but they can only discuss issues that is within the federal competence. That's the point I'm making. They cannot discuss issues that are within the state competences. For instance, issues of local government, issues of town planning.
So if we're going to make a new constitution, how then do we go about it? Because proponents of this national conference have been saying the whole thing should just culminate in the making of a brand new constitution for the country, which will be subjected to a referendum for the people of this country to decide, and then it becomes the constitution of the country.
Well, that's a difficult question to answer, because you cannot, in a constitution, make a constitution. It is an anomaly. If the Nigerian people want to discard the 1999 Constitution, then all the structures of 1999 Constitution should go.
And then it means the government will go.
Of course. So if the government really wants to set up a sovereign national conference, then the government should step aside and set up an interim government to manage a national sovereign conference. You cannot be elected under a constitution that gives you powers, gives you limit of your powers. Then you set aside that constitution and set up a national conference to talk about a new constitution. It doesn't happen. There cannot be two parallel constitutions. And the constitution has the inherent power of reviewing itself. So if the government if all the people in the set up under the 1990 Constitution, the President, the National Assembly, the Judiciary, they want a sovereign national conference to have a brand new Nigeria, then they all should step aside.
Let me quickly ask you this final question before we wrap up. Now, why did you decide to do this now? Why? Because some people will say this is more like an ambush. Why didn't you do this right from when this whole idea came up? Why now? Just now, when the conference would be inaugurated, just in a couple of days. Why now?
Yeah, well, there are two things. First is that we have a series of consultations with people in civil society about this. So we didn't just wake up and go to court. The civil society has a view about it. Secondly, we are watching to see the motive of government. It was very clear that this was a show business. It was just a decoy. For instance, 75% of people in that conference are government delegates. We're also looking at National Assembly, because they're going to be where are they going to get the resources to manage this conference?
Well, 77 billion.
Well, in 2014 appropriation law, but the appropriation bill has not been passed into law.
That's quite true.
So where would they get, if they're inaugurating the conference on Monday, where will you get the money to appropriate to inaugurate the conference? So there's all the issue of impunity. There's no law that allows you to take money from another area to set up a conference that is not even backed by law. So we think that the disregard of law is getting out of hand, and that's why we have to approach the court to stop the recklessness going on in the executive.
Mr. Chinagwagu, thank you very much for coming on the program, and thank you for your thoughts. Well, Well, it's a bit confusing here now, but we'll wait and see what the outcome of that case will be. Now, in case you want to watch this program again, you can do so. It's very simple. All you need to do is go to our website. It's tv360nigeria.com. You can also see us on YouTube. Our YouTube address is actually YouTube.com/TV360 Nigeria, and you could also follow us on Google+. It's TV360 Nigeria, and on Facebook we're there. It's facebook.com/TV360 online, and of course on Twitter our handle is at TV360 online, and finally, don't forget the website again. It's tv360nigeria.com. So anytime at all you want to watch this program again, or you want to watch lots more that we have done, all you need to do is go to that website and you will catch everything. My name is DEJI360. I'll see you next week, and thanks for watching.